mean, I've spoken in front of like seniors at Spring Hill. That's how I know Tony. And
Yeah.
yeah, when I get in front of a crowd or get nervous, I tend to talk more as opposed to clam up, which is not always the best thing.
So I'm looking for some of your insights today. So hopefully I can get you to talk more.
I'm just gonna pretend the cameras aren't there.
Yeah, they're not there. So what brought you back to Mobile this time?
Well, obviously I went to Spring Hill College, married a girl from Mobile, and her family still lives here, and we love Mardi Gras. And we try to come every year. And actually this year my wife's birthday falls on Fat Tuesday, so it's a little extra special.
That's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yesterday I was at a Joe Kane Day celebration, and there was a marriage taking place at Joe Kane's house, and it was two people, and the guy's name was Joe, the lady's name was Elizabeth. So just kind of like those Mardi Gras similarities are always cool.
Yeah.
Joe Kane's wife was named Elizabeth as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's wild. I think Joe Kane's pretty cool. That's a cool wrinkle to the Mobile Mardi Gras. That's,
Yeah.
No crew. You don't have to be asked to join. You just create your own little group.
Do it yourself.
It's really neat. Like, I want to talk to some of the groups and just ask, like, how did this start? Like, what do y'all have in common?
Like the societies?
Well, just the Joe Kane ones. Because, like, it's a lot of effort to put those on.
Yeah.
Even the big ones, like the really big named, huge crews, like, they have a massive budget. It takes a lot of coordination to pull off those parades.
Right. A lot of the real estate downtown, like the old shaggy looking buildings, those are just used once a year for float housing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, man, there's money circulating through if they can afford to just have that building there just for once a year use.
Oh, yeah. It's part of their overhead.
Yeah. Okay, well, you know me, I'm a senior graduating. What was your plan when you were graduating?
When I graduated college, going into like fall semester senior year, 08, 09, I mean, we were all very excited. Had been seeing the headlines about Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac.
Yeah.
Some of the banking crises that were ongoing. And then Lehman declares bankruptcy in the fall of 08. It was just, oh my God, how are we all, like, what are we going to do? Do we even know when our loan repayments are going to kick in? Some people are just going to go hide out in law school, hide out and get their MBA.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, not much of a plan. Let's see, by the time I graduated, though, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what to do. I mean, no one was hiring. There's nothing going on.
Because no one could hire, right?
No. Everything was getting cut.
So I think I've got it bad, but man,
It was rough. My generation, we don't need pats on the back, but like, I am a little surprised sometimes that doesn't get talked about as much. Like the class of 09 for college, we just got throttled. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know, if you look at that cohort across, like American demographics, like I think most of us are behind on some sort of life milestone, whether it's like retirement or like a house or just something, because that first job, like of reaching gainful employment, I think was delayed for many of us. Mm-hmm. But I had absolutely no plan. I took the LSAT, bombed it. I remember filling out the application, and there, it was like write an essay. It was like the only app I was filling out to like Ole Miss, because I was like, that sounds like a fun place. And I was like, well, write an essay of why you want to be a lawyer. And I was like, I don't. I was like, all right, well, I probably shouldn't go to law school. But no, I went back to St. Louis, did my 5th summer as a tennis pro at the same club that I grew up at. Had nothing else going on. So yeah, coming out of senior year with 2 degrees in hand, I mean, it's just, I was too young to even realize like what you're supposed to. I had no plan.
Right. Do you still play tennis?
Yeah, as much as I can. Tennis and pickleball.
You think we can get a match in before you leave?
Maybe. You might have to ask Mrs. Chassaing. We've got Mardi Gras plans, and I would love to play.
I've been playing a bunch here with all the guys on the team, so I'm probably not your level, but I could rally.
I've lost quite a few steps. I'm definitely not as fast as I used to be. Do they still play in the middle of campus?
Yes, they don't hold matches there. They hold matches at Mobile Tennis Center. But yeah, those are the practice courts in the middle of campus.
Right on. That was the same for us too.
Yeah. Great location. Always got friends walking by, and
that was the fun part.
Yeah.
Someone would be walking by and get ready to serve up an ace or try to line up a winner and impress somebody.
Yeah.
That was fun. I remember those days.
You were the captain on the team here, right?
Just for 1 year, last year, senior year.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
How did that feel? You're definitely, I mean, it wasn't like some honorary ceremony like Jim, you're the captain, or you got to take over. It was just like I'm the ranking upperclassman on the team. I've got to set an example. Be on time. Don't be late to practice. I mean, basic stuff you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It was just like another thing I could put on the resume, I guess. But there was no correlation being captain and like the best on the team, which I wasn't.
Mm-hmm. I have a friend here that's on the team, Rafa, and he just got a job in New York coaching tennis for next year. It's about an hour outside the city. I forget which town, but he's looking forward to it. They cover his housing, and looks like good take-home pay for hourly.
That's a good gig. I mean, in that last summer, my coach, who's still one of my best friends, he was like, you just tell me and I can set you up and you can be a tennis bum, like traveling pro, Hawaii, Australia, all the resorts. Like you'll just travel around the world teaching tennis lessons. And I mean, that was tempting as a 22-year-old. The job market's terrible. And I did not go for that because I just, my pro is 1 in a million, like indestructible. And I was just like, I don't think I could make a 30-year career out of this. No. And I'm going to have to go to the cubicle at some point. And I don't want to do it when I'm 30. I'm going to jump in now.
What was it like entering the cubicle?
Gained a lot of weight at first because I had been teaching tennis every single day. So immediately fell out of shape. My first job was one where you had to wear a suit and tie every day. And I don't think that exists anymore, which might date me, but that is crazy to think about. Excuse me. The suit and tie, I thought, oh, wow, this is cool. I get to dress up and look professional. And then I think a few months in, you realize like the optics that plays, you kind of understand maybe why they call it a monkey suit. It's just clothes.
Yeah.
But it was fun to put on the suit, put on the tie, look important, feel important, look professional, feel professional. What was it like being in the cubicle? Kind of like graduating from high school. You go from the top of the heap to now you're a freshman again. You go from being this accomplished Spring Hill College grad. You're part of all these clubs. You could be a big fish in a small pond. And now you're in a workforce next to people who are really competent and have been there for a year and they're running past you. Or you might be working next to somebody who's been in the same job for 20 years and they maybe aren't in the mood to talk about their weekend. So it's definitely, that was like a real world, like welcome to the real world situation.
What was his first job?
So my first job, I got super lucky. A tennis client knew a partner at Edward Jones, set up a meeting, went in, said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to be on the trading desk. He said, cool, you've got an interview next week. They need help. And that was my first job.
Nice.
On the trading desk as a, you would call it like a trading assistant or trading liaison. We would pick up the phone and answer the phone for all the advisors that would call and their admins who had questions about bond trades. I mean, everything. So, and this was in the wake of the financial crisis. So Lehman had declared bankruptcy, huge sell-off on their credit. All financials kind of followed them, and we were busy answering questions about, what are my bonds worth? What's my accrued interest for this trade? Why is my bond valuation down on my statement?
Yeah. So these are all digital trades you're working on. Yeah. When did that start with trades being done without like actual brokers, actual people being brokers? Do you know?
No, I mean so Edward Jones at that time and still is a broker-dealer that executes trades on behalf of its clients. So the clients come to Edward Jones, they bring in their assets, say they want to sell out of their positions. Edward Jones will then go out to the street and liquidate their portfolio or go find new bonds to put into their portfolio. And I mean, there was definitely more manual then than it is now.
Right.
Lots more of picking up the phone as opposed to pure electronic trading, which is driven by algorithms. That was not this.
Okay.
It was Mr. and Mrs. Smith called their advisor, said, I need cash and I really want to sell these bonds. What are they worth? The advisor would say, okay, I'll work on it. The advisor would submit an RFQ to the desk. The desk would pick it up, manually put it out to the street. I mean, there were a lot more chinks in the chain.
So putting it out to the street, is that where other individuals attached to different brokerage accounts can buy it? What does that process look like, putting it out to the street?
So when the trader would take a list of RFQs and put it out to the street, it would either do it directly via like an electronic network and would get bids directly from a dealer, or more typically would use what's called a broker's broker, which I don't know where that industry has evolved since then. But if I'm the trader, broker dealer, XYZ, and you're a broker's broker, you take my bid list and put it out to other broker dealers who also could themselves represent buy-side accounts, and you guys, you would solicit liquidity from them for me.
Okay.
And then if I would trade through you, like if I liked the price, I would trade through you, you'd clip a little fee, they'd clip a little fee. That's how that worked.
How different are the different offerings on the street? So someone wants to sell, and then like what are the margins on that from one guy listing a asset to another one?
So on the liquidation workflow, you can either provide an offering, like here's my position and I'm offered at this level, or you could say, which is a security attached to a price, like here I'm offered for sale. Or you do something more like an auction style liquidation, which is like we're getting way into like technical weeds of bond trading. The other way is you solicit to the market in the fashion of a bid wanted. I have this security in this quantity. I want bids on this position. And you should say, here's this bid wanted, will trade today. The market hears that and they're like, wow, if I put a number on this and bid it, and I'm high, it will trade and I'll win the bonds. So where would I want to own the bonds? So that typically produces a larger spread on where that bond is sold versus if I just put it out as an offer. Typically, you're trying to sell a bond for more on the offer side. Think of it like a car. If you've got your car and you really feel like it's worth $10,000, you're going to put it on Craigslist for $10,000. Someone will probably bid you back like at $9,000 or $8,000, but you're going to stick to your guns because you know it's worth $10,000, and you're like, well, what do I have more of, time or money? I'll sell it to him for $9,500 or $9,000.
Yeah.
But if say you're really desperate and you need the money tomorrow, because you've got a bill to pay, or in a client situation they have to close on a house or pay for a wedding, I don't know. You might say, I'm not going to wait, and I'm not even sure what the market is. I don't know where to price this. I'll take the current day's market liquidity. And here's my car, here's the specs on the car. I'm going to sell this today. Hey, market, what do you think this is worth, or where are you comfortable owning it? And then people naturally are going to lowball.
Right.
Just like a house. An auction's probably going to sell at a worse price for the seller than just going through a realtor and listing it for sale.
Right.
That's like, just got to peek into the brain of, at least my brain, of how capital markets work with respect to bonds, used cars, and houses.
Well, what's the definition of capital markets?
I mean, just what it is. A food market is where I go to look for food, and I'm willing to exchange some other medium of trade for that food. Capital markets is a marketplace where I'm looking for money. Money is capital. Capital is money. Capital can also be human capital in terms of time. But if I am a business and I need money, or if I am an investor and I have securities and I need money, I'm going to go out to the capital markets to exchange for capital. So, from the investment banking perspective, capital markets is going to be either debt capital or equity capital. Someone's giving me money for exchange of ownership or IOUs, debt. That is capital markets.
And they happen across all asset types?
Yes.
Gotcha. I've got some friends that are entering into investment banking this summer. I hear it's a super hard job, and that's what they explained to me. What do you know about it?
From Spring Hill?
No. From University of Texas.
Where are they landing?
New York. I don't know which company, but they're going to be in New York.
That's awesome. That's a heck of a way to start your career in finance.
Yeah. Yeah. They said it's 12-hour days and good pay, but long hours.
They are trading their time for money, for sure. And they're getting a really good education on how to whip up just a model or evaluation of a particular company. I mean, they are in the trenches. They might have half a day of free time a week. That's what I've heard. I didn't go into that. I didn't have the pedigree, but that's not like being a tennis pro outside of New York to start after college. Yeah. It's very different.
Yeah. Do investment bankers and other people like yourself, can you apply what you do in your day-to-day in your personal investments? Like the analysis and breakdowns of companies, that valuation? Do you use it the same in your personal finance?
You could. I mean, even when I was a trading assistant or a position trader, and even in those positions, your personal investments are highly scrutinized for good reason.
To prevent insider trading?
To prevent insider trading and other conflicts of interest. I know hedge fund managers who expressly avoid investing in any of the securities that they cover because they don't want to be hedged against themselves. Meaning, if they're writing analysis or giving guidance on this basket of securities, they don't also want to invest their retirement in that basket of securities because if they're wrong or make a mistake, well, guess what? They've double dipped in the wrong way. Some people have that appetite for risk. Me personally, I don't. I've got a day job. I am not trying to beat the S&P 500 at all. I mean, if I see something funny or interesting in the news or over the weekend and I agree with a thesis, I've got a very trivial, immaterial sum of money in a brokerage account that I'll be like, all right, that looks interesting. Buy and hold. Let's see what it looks like in a year, just for fun.
How many of those projects do you have going on?
Very few. I'm very few.
What was the last interesting thing in the news that caught your attention?
That I actually acted on?
Yeah.
I can't ever remember. I did one insurance play. I don't know. I read a really good, well thought out Barron's article about just the insurance landscape, and it's actually gotten really interesting after the California wildfires.
Yeah.
I don't know. They presented some very sound analysis. I thought, well, I don't have any exposure to that sector at all.
I'm buying insurance bonds?
No, just like an insurance carrier.
Investing in them?
Sure. But that is not, given my 24-hour day, 7-day week, I'm spending 5% of my time thinking on that.
Yeah.
I'm more of my personal investments are in qualified accounts, which I refer to as the slow cooker that I'm really not trying to open until I'm 59 and a half or later. I'm just indexing, not trying to be an active outperformer. Mm-hmm. That's money I want it to cook for 40 years or 20 years.
Right.
I don't want to open the lid and let all the heat out.
Nice crock pot.
Yeah.
I want to thank today's sponsor, the Mobile Chamber. If you're looking for opportunity, rich culture, and a thriving business community, the Mobile Chamber is here for you. At its premise, the Mobile Chamber is an organization that helps promote economic growth in our community, and it connects business seekers to business doers, and it helps get what small businesses need to get off the ground. If you join the Chamber as a member, like myself, you can go to exclusive networking events and work on cutting-edge business development programs. The Chamber has programs for people of all ages and all backgrounds, but my favorite one is the Young Professionals. They have one for young professionals in the Mobile area. They can come, get together, network, and hear from business professionals. The Mobile Chamber is an all-around great organization that can help you learn in business, get your business going, and promote your business that's already going. Thanks for sponsoring.
Yes.
How has your work and time management changed since having kids?
I have to be careful how I answer this one. Haven't missed a beat, but as a dad and then husband and then working for a living, there's not time for everything. Is that something you want to be as a dad and husband at some point?
I do.
That's good. I think that's what I was put on earth to be. That's all I've wanted to do is be a dad and a husband. But you do find you have to make decisions. Sometimes 40 hours is not enough time in the week for me to get as much work as I want to get done. So sometimes you have to make decisions between taking care of your family and working hard at your job and taking care of your family and spending time with your family. Mm-hmm. Those are tough trade-offs sometimes because you might have a wild day at work right up to the buzzer at 5:00 on Friday, and you're finding yourself hard to peel away because you want to finish an email or finish a report, and that's fine, but it can't be every day. Your investment banking friends, they're going to be working for VPs and managing directors in Manhattan, where work comes first in all cases. And I think as a young professional, you never know how your value system could change over time. You might be very ambitious now, like be an investment banking analyst, and it's like nothing else matters besides work. And then you meet the right person and you're like, this isn't how I should be spending my time. Or it could flip the other way. But it's hard. I mean, it's definitely harder. There is not enough time for everything. Something's going to give, whether it's sleep, exercise, diet, commute. I don't even know what else. But yeah, I cannot be the same 25-year-old dude and be a killer dad and husband and worker at 35 or 38 where I sit now. You cannot. If someone's doing that same lifestyle, I don't know how.
Do you have advice to someone starting out with jobs already going, now a family starting? Do you have any advice to them?
And like, are we talking like a hypothetical? Like, do you know somebody or like more context?
No, just hypothetical.
What would I say? I mean, it kind of comes down to like almost a cop-out rebuttal of like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you care about? I mean, I think most 22-year-olds, I can guess what they care the most about. And it's not, going to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock, reading a book and lights out by 10 or, changing diapers. I don't think most 22-year-olds are going to say that.
No. And I hope I don't have to, be a family man for my 20s. What do you think? I mean, is it like looking at life and the happiness of when like the most value comes? Is it from that nice job, or was it when, it slows down?
You have to recognize those good trades when you see them. And that's not always easy. The easiest decisions are the no-brainers.
Yeah.
The hard ones are the ones where you're just split and you don't know what to do. Heart's telling you one thing, brain's telling you the other. But in general, as a young person graduating college, when I graduated college, I was on the hook for student loans. There was no like brand new car waiting. There was no brand new house waiting. Whatever I wanted to go get, I had to go figure out. So, yeah, it was heads down. I need to get a good job, good experience, so I can get the next job and the next job and the next experience or story to tell the world about what I'm doing. Of course, I was, as a younger guy, I was Thursday nights, Friday nights, Saturday nights. I'm out. We're out trying to meet people, make friends, find a mate, and you're not going to know before like age 25 or even 30 like who your right partner is.
Yeah.
It took me longer than I think the middle of the bell curve to do that, but when you find that right person and you're like, you just, it hits you like a ton of bricks. You're like, wow, like I know I want to have kids. This person wants to have kids. I really like this person. I'm signing up for whatever comes our way.
Your wife went to Spring Hill, right?
She did not. She did not attend Spring Hill. She came onto campus and we met, dated.
So met at Spring Hill. Mm-hmm. Okay. Got it confused. Well, nice.
But I would say just within the context of the SHC Business Podcast, as a man telling another young man, you need to go out and be that caveman and find where the good hunting is and demonstrate that you have a skill for bringing back the meat, bring home the bacon. Like you need to you need to get good at something. Mm-hmm. Because, if you really want to have a family and a cave to call your own, you can't be broke, unemployed, just not a good, desirable partner.
Mate, yeah.
You need to become good at something quickly. Mm-hmm. And when you start a new job, and I think it's small companies or big companies, when you start a new job, you're looked to immediately as this very new, shiny, expensive, not toy, but thing that they've bought, and they want an immediate return. So you have to figure out quickly how to add value and remind them why they hired you. And It has nothing to do with trying to impress, a young woman and raise a family with her. Like that will come if you find your calling, your vocation, a way to monetize your skills, and it's something you like doing, all of that will follow.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. A former guest I had on the podcast, Andrew Grinstead, he was an adjunct here, and me and him were talking, and you came up. So what was y'all's relationship like here?
I think we were pretty sure we were the first class of his.
Really?
And he taught capital markets. It was a upper level class. I was able to get into that class because I came into school as a academic sophomore. And I remember the buzz was like, yeah, this guy's from Harvard and graduated 3 years, buckle up. And it was so long ago, but it was the first night class I had, like basically 6 to 9. And as you can tell by my fidgeting, like I don't sit still for long periods of time. But it was wild. I remember like first meeting him, he passed out his resume and it was like 7 pages. And it was very accomplished. He's an excellent pedigree. But he was so extremely relatable. And one cool thing he did was maybe not the first class, but for sure thereafter, he's like, hey, after class, I'm going to go to Mill Mushroom, pitchers of beer, pizza. If anybody wants to hang out and ask me questions. And we had a lot of questions because he taught that class my senior year. So, it was, I'm getting the dates mixed up, but like it was either in the beginning of or in the midst of the financial crisis. So we had all kinds of questions. I mean, I think the Dow was at its like lowest, like what, 7,000. And
wow.
I mean, we were just like, what's happening? Tell us. Like, we have all these questions. Tell us, like, you know everything. And he did, and he still does.
He does. I've talked to him on a podcast and also just like a call for general, getting a job info, and super intelligent, but even more relatable. It's crazy how relatable he is for how smart he is.
He has Spring Hill's best interests in mind. I wouldn't know who he was if it weren't for Spring Hill, but he has a calling to help people. He has skills that are highly sought after, and he applies them in an altruistic way to give back to the school. And I think very highly of him. He's definitely someone worthy of emulation, and how cool is that? He taught a class at night. I mean, you're not that's not a side gig that you're killing it on. I mean, you're doing it because you really want to do it, and he did, and he did a very good job.
Yeah, still does.
Yeah.
Speaking of giving back to Spring Hill, when you and I talked first, you mentioned it would be super cool if every alumni could give $5. How do we go about that?
I don't know. I'm sure the advancement office of development, the alumni office, I mean, I'm sure they're scratching their heads on that. I really don't know. I don't understand it. We give to Spring Hill.
Thank you.
And well, it's Spring Hill is 4 out of 8 years of Jesuit education that I received. And if you receive a Jesuit education, you are very lucky and blessed, especially if in high school, because you're definitely not paying for it yourself as a teenager. You're given this incredible opportunity to learn alongside and even compete academically and athletically with very sharp individuals, people who, it's an amazing experience. And to not give back, we give to my high school, we give to Spring Hill. I don't even think twice about it. And I just, it's confusing to me, the rebuttals I hear from alumni who are like, well, I already paid tuition, that should be good enough. And it's just like, my high school back home it looks like a college campus now. The only way that has happened is from the alumni giving. And I haven't seen that happen at Spring Hill. I try to voice up and say, like, give back. Don't you want the school to be in a better place? How do we fix that? I don't know.
What I think would be super cool is we do a give day every year to give money. But if we did like a give time, like come back to campus, and we just do kind of like, alumni weekend already, but something a little bit different, a different twist. Just getting them here, then it reignites the beauty in their minds that they know of this place. And also getting alumni in different jobs here. Like if there's so many jobs on campus that the school has to have to run, but if you have alumni in those, I feel like the loyalty is almost like a Grinstead level. Even though he's not an alum, but he still cared about it like an alum would. So
that's a good idea. I try to make our giving, I don't know, just somewhat visible in just our social circles. Like, hey, I just gave. Like, are you going to give anything? Pass it along. Or like, if you give 100, I'll give 100. Or just try to get some excitement and ownership into it. But I don't know. That's a really good. That is $1 million question for the school, literally. Yeah. But I think in order to win that game, you have to win the game of how to change people's thinking and approach to be very proud of who they are, proud of that they went to Spring Hill College, and passionate about continuing that legacy so that it outlasts them.
Yeah.
And Spring Hill is unique. It's not in Auburn. It's not in Alabama. It's not a Tulane. It's not a Princeton or Harvard or whatever. It's a very unique product on the shelf of college degrees and experiences. And, the college has its courses of ups and downs. Spring Hill is a small school. Either you love it and you're very happy all 4 years, or you kind of like it and you have ups and downs. But it really does blow me away that some people snub at like a very trivial amount. But if they were to just give $5, then Spring Hill's stats of percentage of alumni giving just skyrockets because it is such a small school. And the rebuttals are, well, remember when we got in, the RA was called, or we were told to shut the party down, or someone got in trouble, and it's just like, do you put it on your resume, like on your LinkedIn? Well, yeah, of course I do. Well, the basket's being passed, like just throw something in. But whatever, that's enough of my soapbox. That's just a very opinionated view.
I agree with you, and it's something that deeply passionate about as well, just the college and making it better. You mentioned to me you're looking to move back to Mobile with the family?
Very open to it.
Open to it.
It's Mobile.
Where are you based now, Tennessee?
We're in Nashville.
Nashville.
Yeah. So you asked the question earlier, like, how would you advise, well, I forget the exact question, but it was like, what would you tell young professionals considering starting a family? Mm-hmm. I'm like, well, in your 20s,
Yeah, we'll say 30s.
But, we're 2 years into a family, and it's like, gosh, it would be kind of nice to be down the street from someone to, help with the girls or help with pickup. Or, we were just at church this past weekend in the same pew as, my wife's parents. And that's, everybody's more inclined to do what they grew up with. And that's what I grew up with was, grandparents were constantly on the scene, lived down the street from them, had a very full childhood, and cherished experiences like that. And as time ticks on, the economy grows, things get more expensive, people move for jobs. You do see people raising family away from their own family. And it's a challenge to do all the pickups, and
definitely
childcare is expensive. So you just start thinking like, well, where's the best place to provide the childhood? And it becomes a very heavy question. And I'll say this for the podcast, that as you move through your career and then you step inside the jewelry store with your girlfriend to look at rings, the train has started to leave the station. Then you get engaged, and then you get married, and then you have kids, and the cement of your station in life starts to set and get thick. So like once you've moved and picked a school, it gets really hard to change all that. If you decide you want to move to Vegas and deal blackjack, like you can change your mind the later into life you get, but sometimes it comes at a cost, and that cement can get hard. You've got to break it versus you're about to graduate college. You can literally do whatever you want in terms of changing your mind on things.
Mm-hmm. What do you think is the best learning mechanism, learning area leaving school? Like, is it traveling or being in a city where you can meet a lot of people, or what do you think is best for someone coming out to do?
One thing I would do a lot was, and I was at Edward Jones, I worked alongside investment bankers, credit analysts, portfolio managers, head traders. It was a very open culture. Everyone was from St. Louis, and all I had was time. I had no money, but I had a lot of extra time. And so I would ask these professionals out to coffee. And I think this is a no-brainer to me, because an accomplished professional, case in point, I'm sitting here. Anyone who's been working for 5, 10, 15, 20 years are kind of like waiting for someone to ask, like, well, what do you think? Or what's your perspective on X, Y, Z, or life in general? Like, sometimes they just don't get asked. They may not get asked, like, anywhere.
That's what the podcast's for.
Some people are just waiting to be looked up to and said, hey, Mr. Chassaing or Mr. Sisk, like, I saw that you did this, or I heard you've done well. Do you have anything, like, do you have any lessons, or would you change anything that you did? And just, it's 30 minutes, like 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. Be on time, follow up with that person, say thank you to them, and that's it. Like, just the curiosity. Mm-hmm. I've learned that if people ask good questions, I think that's a great sign of intelligence. Now, if they ask the same question 5 times, that's a different story. But like, if it's asking the right questions, and if you can demonstrate to the right professional, to Andrew or to someone at a company that you want to work for, you might get one shot, one coffee, or one question to ask them something thought-provoking, and then give your spin on it. And those engagements, I think are invaluable. You're not going to get that from TV, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, not even a book. But like those interpersonal interactions are critical. But you have to approach the person in the right way. Like you can't just go ask a CEO, like, hey, I'm bored. Do you want to go hang out? They're like, I'm busy. Like, what's the reason? Like, what do you want? What do you want out of this? That's a skill you can learn trial by error as a 22-year-old. Because if you mess up, people are just like, well, he's just 22.
Yeah.
You can make those mistakes.
That's one of the things you taught me is having a reason and an ask. Because first time we talked, you're like, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I'm open to this. It was broad. And you're like, you need to come up with one thing that's an ask that you can have people, like something tangible for them to hunt for you for.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Absolutely. I'm not always the best at analogies and metaphors, but I used to be a waiter at a restaurant, and I had a lot of fun at that job for a variety of reasons. But I always kind of think back to that job and certain life parallels. And yeah, could you imagine a waiter coming to the table and you're just like, I don't know, I think I want pizza, maybe a hot dog, maybe a hamburger, but what about the red pasta? And the waiter's gonna be like, dude, what do you want? Like, what do I tell the kitchen?
Yeah.
Like, they don't know you. Like, you have the menu, just tell me what you want and I'll bring it to you. And if you show up to the seafood restaurant and you're like, well, I want a hot dog, they're gonna be like, okay, well, we can't give that to you. Go somewhere else. At least, but we know that you want a hot dog, and actually, there's the stand down the corner. Mm-hmm. In job seeking, it's the same way. Mm-hmm. I knew going into college, I wanted to do economics, study finance, and in college, I knew that I had to be on a trading desk. And when I graduated, that was the answer. I was like, all right, Jimmy, like, you're teaching tennis, you can't do this forever. Like, what do you want to do? I want to be on a trading desk. I'm like, cool. Steve Nicholas, Edward Jones. Who do you know there? Mm-hmm. And it demonstrates confidence that you know what you want to do.
Right.
As opposed to confusion, indifference, or even apathy.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Well, we moved across my topics and we're right on our edge of our time frame.
Time flies.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, and I, look forward to our tennis match.
Yeah, anytime.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
I would like to personally thank everyone who tuned into this episode of the SHC Division of Business Podcast. Our aim is to give young professionals insight into their desired field or potential job of choice. If you gain anything from this, or have any compassion whatsoever, please share with someone you see fit.